Yes guys, I'm back with another one, and today I'm going to be going through BTC, seeing what levels we're at, see where we could be going. I'm going to have a little look through ATAS trading platform. You might not have seen it in a while, but I still use ATAS, and I'm going to show you a little thing to set up in ATAS to show you how you could potentially be getting, good entries, good exits. And like I say, ATAS are mainly used for scalping, but we'll have a little look at USDT dominance, BTC dominance, and just go through a few coins. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So I'm on BTC. You'll have to excuse me, I've lost my voice again because coaching these kids, the football coaching that I do, I tend to lose my voice a lot. But we're going to have a little look at BTC. And if we have a little look where we are now, just on this chart here, have a little look at this level, just this little zone. You can clearly see price is being absorbed by buyers. This zone here. We've got another little zone up here from around there. Sellers are absorbing this price. So we're either going to get, where's my trusty tool path, we're either going to get this for a little bit longer, and it could happen, we've seen it happen, or we're going to get this and it breaks away from that zone. So what will happen then is we've got that potential to go up into that zone there, or what we'll see is and it will break through that zone there and then potentially come back to the value area high here. So just marking out them little levels. This, well not that. Oh, what's going on here? Goddamn chart. These are two possibilities in BTC. Stop listening to all of the crap. BTC's breaking out. Stop listening to it. These two levels where we are at the minute are very important. We've got absorption here. We've got absorption here. So sellers are absorbing buyers there. Buyers are absorbing sellers there. We're in a tight range, so it could break either way. So you've got to be careful with what you're doing at the minute. Even just going down at this zone here, I did say down here in one of my other previous videos, we probably are going to push off. Just the way it were moving, just the way it looked. And you can clearly see another zone here. Let me get this. At the value area low, where price was getting absorbed. So sellers were aggressively pushing it away, but buyers kept stepping in at this zone. So we had something very, very similar in the next zone of interest, which is around here. Sellers were trying to push BTC down. As you can see here, sellers were trying to push it down. Buyers kept stepping in at this zone. Buyers kept stepping in at the value area high, which then caused these sellers that were trying to hold it down it caused it to move. And that's what happens. Price is getting absorbed by buyers and sellers. Once it breaks away from that zone, generally what you'll see is it will go. As long as the buyers are here or the sellers are here, just going back to this zone here, we'll do it on a, previous price scale. So we had something similar here. This top of this zone here, that zone there, sellers kept absorbing price. The zone below us here, buyers kept absorbing price in that zone there. Same here. Buyers were absorbing price. And yet, previous prices do matter. I'm not saying they don't, because they do. But you want to be looking at recent price action to see where it could potentially be going. And you can see absorption, absorption, absorption. All this was sellers with massive limit orders sat in here saying you're not going through. And that's what happens. It then cascaded down all the way down to here. A 32% drop into that zone. Everybody's like, it's over. BTC's going to this, BTC's going to that. But if they looked at recent price action, you can see that buyers kept absorbing all this pressure down in here. So that's what I think about BTC. There's no trade for me yet in BTC. I will watch if we can break up above with a strong push. A bit similar to what happened here. Strong candle pushing up. Same here. Strong candle pushing up. We had one there as well. And yeah, you longed it there. 7%. It's still a good move. It's not the best risk to reward, but it's still a decent move. And that's what you want to look on recent price action. You can even go down in the smaller time frames to see where it's getting absorbed, to see where it could potentially be going. But at the minute, we're in a range. So what you want to do is volume profile. Let's analyze this range that we're in at the minute. That's the range that we're in. We're stuck in that range. So if you're taking your entries on the 15-minute and you come down, just have a look at the range. We drop in below the value area low, we get bought back up, we go above the value area high, we drop back down, below the value area low, back up above, we drop back down, and that's what's occurring. We are in a price range, and I can't really say what we're going to do at the minute, but I'd really like us to break up above, come back down, retest this zone, and then fire off, and possibly take out this high. So that's my status on BTC. I'm not going to tell you where it, I've not got a magic ball. And I can't tell you where it's actually going to move to. I'm just going off recent price action of where we are at the minute. In this zone, take you short. In this zone, take you long. You don't want to be long in here now, where we are now. Possibly on the scalping scale, you can. But where we are now, for a longer term trade, you want to be longing down in here. Or if we can break up above, then yeah, there is an option to long to get up to that all-time high. It's about 4%, which is not really much for BTC to move. I'm going to do USDT dominance right quick. and then I want to go on to ATAS to have a little look at ATAS. So USDT DOM, you know, I can still use this anchored volume profile just to look at the range. You know, this is not going to tell me, oh yeah, I can go long, go short. All this is going to tell me here is what range are we in with this coin. Not with the coin. Well, it is technically. But with USDT dominance. Same here. What range are we in? Let's have a look. That's the range we're in. You know, a successful push out of this range could possibly cause us to go back towards that range. And that's all I'm looking at. You know, this range here, there to there, that's the range. And if you have a look, the point of control in that range, what do? We come to it and we bounce off. The point of control in this range, possibly up into that range and bounce away. And that's all it is. Just using, these are technically level 2 data, and that can show you what's going on in the market without, obviously, listening to a bunch of absolute sausages on Twitter. If you just look at this little range, just going down into the hourly, having a little look at the range where we are at the minute. If you can see with the range, every time it comes up above the top of that range, excuse me, it's retracing to the bottom, and then it's going up to the top, and then retracing to the bottom. So we could potentially get this retracement to the bottom. If on the daily, with this range, we break away successfully from that range and that range, yes, there is a possibility that we will go lower. If we do the adverse of what I've just said and we go up and we break away successfully like this from that range, you see how it breaks away, comes back in, tests the range and goes again. That's what we could potentially be seeing. So I'll get my little brush. So if we break away like this, then we are potentially coming to this range. Excuse me. Coming back to that range, and then, similar to these candles, we get another massive push into that range, and then a push away. Yeah, BTC is going to drop. So, you know, I always say trading simple, and I don't mean it in like, you know, it's not hard, because trading is hard. I just mean you can make trading simple. And what I'm saying is, instead of having all these 3 million indicators on your charts, thinking, well, the MACD's done this and the MACD's done that, and the whatever's done this and the Williams blah blah's done that, you can just use this sort of stuff to think, right, what are we doing? You know, and if you'd have just used that in that range down there, instead of, I am not slagging off trend lines or anything like that, because you use what you use. If it's successful for you, well done, it's successful for you. What I am saying is, trend lines are lines that you're drawing on a chart. These zones here are actual real zones of volume, what you can actually see. So, you know, a lot of people are like, yeah, we're going to go into alt season because we're broken down here. Not necessarily. What you wanted was, when we broke down, you wanted that candle to do that. And then do that. And then do that. It never did. What it did, it held this area here, this big zone here, it held that zone. And never did what people thought it was going to do. It then eventually broke away. Everybody looking at these sort of candles like, yeah, alt season, alt. No, you need to watch these ranges. These ranges are important. You know, I'd love to see a massive push away like that. I'd love to see it. The only problem we've got is that range there, where a lot of people are transferring the money back into USDT, which is then going to cause this possible push back into that range there, the bottom of that range, and then into there. So everybody's going to start going long here. They're going to close out in a loss there, instead of waiting for the, you know, for the transfer of this momentum back up into there, testing that range, and then a drop. They don't wait for that. They see a move and they're like, I need to be in it. I've got FOMO. I need to be in it. I'll sit here all month and not touch anything. If I can get one successful trade and that pays me, say, 5 grand in a month, I'm all right with that. There's some people out there that are working and they're not seeing that in a month. They're seeing, what, 2, 3K maybe in a month. I'm sat here in front of a computer making double that because I'm patient. So this is what I'm trying to implement in my channel. I don't want people to get FOMO. I don't want them to think, oh, I'm missing out. That's where you're getting wrecked. You need to just wait and watch. So we can use the same sort of thing with BTC dominance. So we've got a range there. Here to here. Before it moved away, we've got a range. Look at how dominance came back down into this range and then pushed off. So everybody's like, it's all season. Woo. It's not. Until we push away from the range, it's not. So something similar here. We've got this range here forming. So I get my volume profile. I'll go to that zone before it eventually starts to push away. Lo and behold, when everybody had the trend line in, like a certain person from a certain channel, I won't mention his name, I don't want to plug him, to be honest. Alt season, he said. Alt season. That's what he said. Well, I had a different view on alt season. And I was looking at the previous range that we created here. And you can just go back and look at all these ranges. What we've created over the time. Range. Massive range. Move out range. And every time we create in a range, dominance goes again. So That is a trend. I can't do out with that. If we can do something like this in here, I can then get a volume profile and have a little look at that range. A successful break away from these ranges, yeah, then it's a possible alt season. But then I'm going to be looking at the next range, which is probably around here, you know, where we were ranging. And I'm going to look at this zone here. If we come down into it, you know, push away from that range, a little retest, and then a push into it, I'm going to look at that range. See, how are we reacting in the range? If we react like that, and we have a daily candle that does that, I'll be pretty worried then. If we can get a daily candle that does that, and close it below it, comes back in to test it, then yeah, there's a potential. And then I'm going to look at this range here and think, what about that range? And that's all I'm doing. I'm just looking at ranges. Because the market tends to range more than it trends. So look, we had a big range there. Before we eventually popped out. It's a massive range that we're in. And it does have a potential to come down into this range. You know, if we start to break away, just a bit similar to this price action here. And I know it's BTC DOM. I'm not saying that you need to, you know, use these for. All I'm showing you is the volume in these areas. So looking at that range, having that marked out, see we had that range marked out. We had that range marked out. It dropped through it, retested it, and then went again. So just keep an eye on them ranges to see where we could potentially be going. Stop listening to all these absolute sausages on Twitter. Just look at your ranges. Look at where we are. Right, now I'm going to get into ATAS. Let me just check how long this video has been going for. Right, 7 minutes. Let's go into ATAS. ATAS. So when you open ATAS, you're going to have this. Go to your chart. Go to BTC. Because he's the Don. And that's what we want to be looking at. BTC. So I'm going to show you something this morning that I looked at in BTC. Where people probably went short down here because they've seen that move. I don't know why. But yeah. You do you. I'll do me. And what we'll do is, I'm going to get a template, which is, I think it's that one. We'll go with that one. I'm going to get that template. Find price. So, I've got depth of market, which is there. I can close it out. But all, that just shows me the depth of market is where these limits are sat, like here, where people probably went short there. Oh, it broke away. They didn't see them limits, did they? I did. More fool you. Unlucky. Up here, got some more limits. At about 1048 and 10532. More limits there. And just going up the chart, you can clearly see all these limits that are sat down up above. All these limits that are sat down below. And I pointed it out. I literally pointed it out at around this zone here, 75k, there was a limit. Daily BTC. We bounced at 74.6. There was a limit at 75. And I pointed it out. I literally said it in chat. I literally said it. That there was a limit at 75k. And it wasn't a small limit. I'll show you what the limit was. Where are we? I'm going to zoom right in to actually see the limit. It was 38 BTC. So, I'm not that quick with maths. So, I'm going to get the calculator out. Calculator. Come on, phone. And what price were it at? So that there were nearly a 3 million BTC order. A 3 million. And what did price do from there? Yeah, it did wick a little bit lower. But what did price do from there? The reason it wicked lower is to see how strong that order was and to actually fill the order. Because it's got to fill the order. So you got people buying and selling. It's auction. It's an auction. You got buyers, you got sellers. The buyers won. And that's what happened there. At one point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ATAS up. I'm going to go back to that price action. I don't know if I can do it where we are now because I'm on a smaller time frame. And if I load it, it'll take forever. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that price action on my next video, and I'm going to show you what you could have done just using this level 2 there. See all that? And that's why people get confused. You don't need to get confused. Anyways, right, let's get back to this. So, I'm on the 5-minute chart. I don't like auto dates. I'm just going to load up 100 days for now. So, I'm going to load 100 days. Let's hope it doesn't take 100 days to load up. Right, this is what I've got on my ATAS chart. I'm going to close down open interest a little bit. So, recent price action. I could see here, bam, bam, bam. They are probably big players or hedge funds or whatever that have got orders sat in there. And that's recent price action. I can't show you here because there's not actually showing me what were there. Because most of these orders, if they were big orders, they probably got filled. So just looking at that, zooming in, I'm going to show you how I set my chart up as well. 468 BTC, 495, 493, 83, whatever. Looking up above, the sell limit is 433, 393, 240 at these price levels. That one, that one, that one. And yet, they can be moved. I'm not saying they can't be moved because they could literally just pull the order. But what I'm saying is, for recent price action, you can see there. I'm going to move. I'm going to get rid of some of these cluster search, stacked imbalance, big trades. That's my market profile and TPO to show me the value areas. So what I'll do is I'll open up this chart, make it a little bit bigger for you. So down here now, at the minute, there's going to be a lot of people that are trapped. But I suppose that's what you get when you're very impatient. So DOM levels. So DOM levels are areas of interest. You can see them loading up now. Excuse me. So these levels are areas of interest where the limits are sat. So liquidity, as they would say, this is where they're all sat. So what I'll do is I'll go into my DOM levels
and I can brighten them, or I can close them right down. Same with the contrast. I can move that contrast up and down. The reason I'll move it up and down is so then it's only showing me the major levels of interest, what I possibly want to be looking at. So if we're having a look up here at 105k, that's a major level of interest. These levels here on the 5 minute, what areas, I'll tell you where they were they were down here. They were a little bit further down, they were around here. So what they've started to do is they move the orders up. So say they've longed where these levels were, now they're moving the orders up. So their orders sat in the book. Going further down, you can see the orders that are sat below us. That's how you're going to be using that there, the DOM levels. Order flow, so we can get the order flow indicator up. Filter minimum is 10. I'm not going to show small trades. I can potentially put it to 9. Sometimes I like to put it to 5 if I'm just scalping. But if you look there, they're tiny orders that are coming in. But if I put it to 5 or 9, all this will show me now is big orders that were coming in. So what I was looking at this morning is this zone here, look, 10. That's 10 BTC coming in at this zone here. I didn't see that price action, but we had, you know, some levels there where we've got sells, limit sells that were sat there. And then that caused price to drop. We had limit sells here. That's causing price to push. So if them limit sells are still there, then it could potentially come back down towards these. And that's where you get your sideways action. In 90% of charts, this is where you get all your sideways action. Because you've got, you know, like there, you had a limit sell sat up here. So it went up through, came back down, tagged, and then went down. So we've also got CVD that I love using. I'm gonna get off in a minute, but I'm just gonna show you CVD. I like to have it on candles, so I can have a little look. So if we were looking at CVD yesterday, looking at CVD, prices going up, but it got to this level in CVD around here, and price stalled at that zone. So price kept going up, but CVD started to flatten. And then we had a move down, bam, quick in and out. Similar scenario to what's going on right now. CVD was here at the low. Price kept going down. So what it was is sellers were putting a lot of effort in to drop the coin, but buyers, as in these limit orders that were sat here, were absorbing the sells, which caused it to move off. And I did not take this trade. I'm not saying I took the trade because I completely missed the trade, but I would have aimed, my aim was around this zone here, which is the VPOC, and these areas where we had limit sells in these zones. That would have been my move. And with BTC, that move there doesn't seem like a lot. People think I've got to trade altcoins to get these big moves, but you don't. Because if you'd have took that move and got a 0.7, but if you'd had it on times, because BTC is completely different to alts. say you had it on times 50 and you've put, say, $100 on, that there, you probably made 50, 60 quid. Something along them lines. You know, 50, 60 quid for sitting there for 10 minutes. Well, how long did it take? Let's have a look. 9:20 to 10:55. You traded for an hour and a half and you made 60 quid. That's not bad going. 60 quid an hour. Some people out there that have been training at college for however many years and don't make that. So I'm just going to go back to this price action here. So looking at this was at 3 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, I'm not trading, but some of you might be. So we've got CVD pushing higher. CVD flattening out, but price is going higher. So what we got was that to there. And what did we have here? We had a divergence in the CVD showing you that buyers are no longer interested at that price. Buyers are like, not interested anymore. Sellers step in and you get, well, my measuring tool, you know, you don't even have to take it there, but say you took it there, a nice 1.1% move. So even if you'd have come on and started trading here at 8.20, you still had a divergence in CVD. So what we got was, we had CVD try to push up, price flattening out here in this little range, and then drop. And then you got your divergence here, in here. So you could have took today 2 trades and made more in 2 trades in what? 8.20. So say you took that with your candle confirmation, say what? There. And you took your short. It drops down. Trying to see if I've got my thingy here. I don't know where my risk to reward tool is. Absolutely lost. There it is. Short position. So say you took your short in here on that candle close. Stop. Now that's totally up to you. I can't decide that. Say you were going to put it above the value area high just for safe keepings, and you were aiming for this recent low here on price action. That's a, is it a 1 to 3? Can't see, I'm going blind. I think it were a 1 to 3. Yeah, 1 to 3. That were a 1 to 3. That's a good risk to reward trade. Just delete that a minute. And say you went long at the bottom here. That candle confirmation. Putting your stops at the lows. Where's it gone? And say you're aiming for opening line, it's a 1 to 2. Say you're aiming back for this area where everybody was selling, so 1 to 4. That's a good risk to reward again. You know, I missed this trade because I didn't come on. We're making a coffee and things. But what I'm showing you is, you know, if you even looking at CVD here now, what I can see is CVD has started to flatten out a little bit. There's no divergence as of yet, but I'll be looking at the highs potentially to go short if we can get back up into these zones. If I see a divergence, if I see CVD going up, price starts to move up, but CVD starts to flatten or go down and price is still going up, That's telling me that sellers are present up in here and they are absorbing all the buyers. And then we can go short. So that's just a little thing that I wanted to show you about CVD and price absorption and how I set it up and how you can see, in effect, a heat map. Or, you know, if you don't want to use this, there's always Coin Glass. I don't mind plugging them. Go on to Coin Glass and have a look on that. That's going to be for your more longer term type trades, because that'll show you a little bit more data. But like I was saying, then my next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that recent price action at 75k to show you where that big order was sat in and how it pushed BTC up. So yeah, don't forget I've got links for CWP, James's Indicators, Buy Me a Coffee, Slim's Bots. I'll also have a referral link for Bluffing if you want to come and join me on there, take some trades on there with me. And that's going to be it from me, guys. And I will catch you in the next one. Happy trading.